Isn't this such a wonderful experience and a great way to experience a game like Super Mario World for the first time? It's exactly how I did it the first time I played through this game. When I first got my Super NES, we had problems with the coaxial cable on my TV, and this is kind of what it looked like. Managed to clear all 96 levels while it looked like that before I finally figured out how to fix the coaxial problem. Not exactly a fun way to enjoy the game. Greetings, my name is Tommy the Keyblade Master and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at Super Mario World, and I'll be honest, it didn't look quite that bad. There was a little bit more color to that picture when I was playing it through the first time, but not by much, and the sound was just as screwed up, if not more. But it means I'm really great at this game though, because I played it my first time all the way through looking like that, and it's still one of my favorite Super Nintendo games, especially when it's looking the way it should. Anyways, let's take a look at Super Mario World and see how well it stands the test of time. The story in Super Mario World is not a surprising one. Mario and Luigi have decided to go on vacation to Dinosaur Land, and they decided to bring Princess Toadstool along with them, and guess what happens? Princess Toadstool gets kidnapped by Bowser again, and Mario now must set off across Dinosaur Land and try to find her. Same old story, and for the most part, not much exposition. The only time you see exposition is usually after you beat a stage, and just a quick little bit of dialogue followed by a joke is shown, and then you move on to the next area. Overall, this game has no story, but then a good Mario game never really bogs us down in exposition. The only Mario game that bogged us down in exposition was Mario Sunshine, and that's the worst Nintendo-made Mario game. When the graphics are looking the way they're supposed to and not that giant steaming pile I showed you at the very beginning of this video, they are quite beautiful. In fact, I would say they haven't aged a day in the past 25 years or so. It still looks to me as good as it did when it first came out. Well, maybe not in a few areas. There are a few areas where the game's going, look at our new Mode 7 and be impressed. Oh! And nowadays you look at it and it's kind of laughably quaint. But for the most part, the way the sprites look, the way the overworld looks, the backgrounds, everything is beautiful and as pretty as the day this game came out. Like I said, it's gorgeous. Now let's move on to the sound. Now I've been playing music from this game constantly throughout this review. I'm going to silence at least the background soundtrack and let you listen to some of the actual game clips audio. And as you can tell, it's top-notch sound. We got a lot of great music, a lot of great sound effects. For the most part, this is a really, really great sounding game. Has one of the most memorable Mario soundtracks there is outside of the original game. I can't complain about the sound too much. The only annoying sound effect has to come from the sound effect that Yoshi makes whenever you break him out of the egg, but that's really a small complaint overall. All in all, graphics are good, sound is good. Let's move on to the gameplay. Where do I start talking about the core gameplay in Super Mario World? All of it's really, really good. But I'll start talking with the platforming aspects. For the most part, it's still Super Mario Bros. 3, only enhanced. When it comes to the basic movements, Mario still got his jump, he still has his basic power-ups, he's got the new feather power-up, which I'll talk about shortly, and a new spin jump, and as far as Mario goes, that's about it. His new feather power-up is kind of useful. If you run real fast, you can fly like you can in Super Mario Bros. 3, except this time the cape opens, and if you can control it properly, you can stay in the air for long distances. It's a really neat power-up. But what makes this game also different from Super Mario Bros. 3 is the inclusion of a new ride called Yoshi. When Mario gets on Yoshi, a lot of his movements and his controls change, as Yoshi controls just a tad bit differently, but not enough to make it feel like it's different. just that it's slightly new and a new mechanic, and it works out really, really well. Yoshi can eat enemies for coins, he can stomp on enemies with stronger impact, he can walk across things Mario can't, and Mario can even get a boost off of him to save his hide in some circumstances. Also, if Yoshi eats a Koopa shell, he can do things like breathe fire or fly or even ground pound, making Yoshi a really, really great ally to have, especially when he's blue and he can fly with any shell he eats. So Yoshi is a really great big mechanic to this game. And of course, my favorite part of this game comes with the map and the way it works. You see, unlike a lot of the other Mario games, which are kind of linear in their design, Super Mario World allows you to pick a track through the game. A lot of stages have 2 exits, most of the time goalpost and key. Getting that key will lead you into extra areas, and it's just a lot of fun seeing how the map changes every time you clear a new area. There are 96 goalposts in all to get. Most of the time you can tell because the area is marked in red and will have a key in it, but some are tricky, like the ghost houses especially, and have 2 goalposts. Still, the way the game makes sure that you know this area has 2 exits and where to find them is kind of fun, and I really enjoy the mechanic. And then there's also tons of secrets to this as well. If you can really look hard, you will find switch palaces, which will allow you to fill certain areas with blocks, which makes traveling easier. And then, of course, there's also the special world, which is incredibly hard, which is what I like about this game. For the most part, most of the harder areas are actually set off to the side, either in the special world or a few secret exits in the Valley of Bowser, which will lead you into an incredibly hard fortress. But for the most part, if you just want to get through the game and rescue the princess, doing so is easy. You have your options, but if you look, you'll find some really challenging stages and a lot of great secrets. Clearing the special world allows Dinosaur Land to go into a fall look in the map, and then some of the enemy sprites change, which is kind of a cool extra. Overall, I really like this game. If there is one complaint about it, outside of those, like I said, extra areas like the special world, the game is kind of easy. It's very, very generous with its 1-ups. Not New Super Mario Bros. 2 generous, but close. There is the top secret area that you can unlock in the donut plains, which is a nice way to grab some power-ups, and you can even spam it for 1-ups. However, I warn you guys, if you have friends over that are waiting to play the game, this is a good way to get an Akuma's Raging Demon style beatdown. There are plenty of areas where you can go through that can just score you tons of 1-ups. One of my favorite areas is this one. Take a look at what I do and just how many 1-ups I get. And remember, I kind of screwed up this trick. I didn't put the P-switch in the right place, but I still got 30 lives. It will take several minutes just counting up the lives. It's kind of just a beautiful sound to listen to. And again, I screwed up the trick. If I put the P-switch back at either the beginning of the stage or at the halfway mark, you can get up to 50 lives in one stage. This is done in Vanilla Dome Secret 2, I think. It's on the top part of the dome stage, basically. And it's a really great way to get lives. And there's so many other ways of getting 1-ups on this game that it's not really hard to find them, so this game's kind of easy for that. Again, it's not quite as bad as New Super Mario Bros. 2 with all the coins, but it's really easy to get 1-ups in this game. If I do have one complaint about this game, is that there is one really hard stage to beat. And no, it's not tubular. If you have a cape and a blue Yoshi, that stage is one of the easiest in the special world. Don't blame me for your bald spots if you actually tried to P-balloon across it, like the game kind of makes you think that's what you should do. Blue Yoshi, and that stage is easy. No, the hardest stage to me is the fortress in the Valley of Bowser, where you have to fight these large spikes, and one hit kills you because the game counts it as a crush rather than getting hit by an obstacle. And there's another problem I have with these. Is it just me, or are these spikes here just a little phallic in their shape? Bowser, are you overcompensating for something? Yeah, I thought so. What's even weirder is that these spikes actually first make an appearance in Wendy's Koopa's castle. And just look how quickly up and down they move. This tells me more about Wendy Koopa's psychology than I've ever wanted to know. Anyways, even though the game is slightly on the easy side, Super Mario World is a really great game. Between all the stages, you can explore all the gates to open, the multiple paths, and the ability to ride Yoshi makes Super Mario World an incredible game. You can understand why us old school gamers have a hard time picking between which one's best. Super Mario Bros. 3, which is a slightly more challenging, had more power-ups and that board game philosophy on the map, versus Super Mario World, which is slightly easier but has a creative power-up in Yoshi and the cape power-up and allows you to really explore and change the world. Makes it a really hard choice. I'm not going to cut this baby here. You're going to have to figure out which one's the best on your own. Now, with that said, there is a version of this game I know I won't be able to recommend to people, and that is the GBA version, at least on the Wii U. If you're wondering if you have a Wii U and if you're wondering which one you should get, it ought to be a no-brainer. Get the Super Nintendo version. The GBA version is a really good port. It does have some of the annoying things that they put in their GBA ports, like the unneeded sound clips, but it keeps them to a minimum, unlike Super Mario Advance, which kind of just overwhelmed you with the ability of the characters never to shut up. Here, it keeps it classic and old school, and it's still kind of fun. They also throw in a Luigi mode. However, the screen is still cropped Game Boy Advance style, and it's still on a lower resolution than the Super Nintendo and doesn't have some of that crisp sound that the Super Nintendo had. So I don't know why Nintendo put this up on the Wii U, considering how the Super Nintendo version is just far superior to it, and at the same price, just go with the Super Nintendo version. Nintendo, if you're going to do this with the other Mario Advance games, I suggest maybe creating a bundle. You know, $10 gets you both, because I couldn't recommend the GBA version next to the Super Nintendo version when they're both the same price. I'm sorry, I can't. Anyways, I give Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo a 5 out of 5. This game is pretty much perfect. There is that one Valley of Bowser level which can frustrate me sometimes, but it's far from being impossible. With the way the world is explored, it's just almost the perfect game that you can get. I just wish there was a sequel to this game. And there is! Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, a game that is so far different from its predecessor that it makes our American version of Super Mario Bros. 2 look almost identical to Super Mario Bros. But does that make it a bad game? Well, we'll find out next time. I'm going to be reviewing this shortly. In the meantime, if you have any comments about this video, feel free to leave them down below. This is Tommy the Keyblade Master signing out.